actually named for Hallie Quinn Brown, who was one of those hidden figures of history. As far back as 1890, she was coming up to the Twin Cities, speaking at the black social clubs, speaking at the black churches. She helped to make sure that issues around suffrage, issues around civil rights were brought to the forefront. She worked with a number of organizations across the country. She started the National Association of Colored Women's Clubs and represented the United States at the International Congress of Women in 1897.
Hey guys, so welcome back to Lex Reads. So in today's Becoming a Black Book Collector series, I want to focus on the Black women era. And that era is from 1890 to 1912. And I was inspired to learn about this era because of a woman named Hallie Q Brown. And Hallie Q Brown, she was a feminist. She was a teacher, a writer, a journalist. I mean, just everything. She was such a triple threat. And actually was researching her works and came across her anthology that was published in 1926. And I actually had the anthology and did not know it. Y'all know, shop like nobody's business when it comes to books. And I was so surprised. I'm like, wait, I actually have this book? And it's an anthology. So, oh my goodness, y'all know how much I rave about anthologies. And this one was so special because this anthology, it was written, like I said, in 1926. And they have like real women that, let's say, are born in like 1870 as like present because they're still alive. And I was reading it, it just was like so funny but like fascinating, the fact that you have women born in like the 1900s and they're still alive during this time. You know, and it's like I'm reading it in 2023. But the book is Homespun Heroines and Other Women of Distinction. And I love these editions of these books because they highlight 19th century women, Black women authors. But let's get into this. Okay, so I have my notes, of course. Miss Brown was born in 1850 and she died in 1949. And like I said, she was a teacher, a writer, a women activist. She was born in Pennsylvania, was daughters of former slaves, and they migrated to Canada. And then they settled in the United States and Ohio during like the 1870s. And Brown also was involved in the women's suffrage campaigns and movements, and she helped organize the National Association of Colored Women, NACW, and she was the president of the Ohio State Foundation League in 1905 to 1912. One of the works that she is known for is this anthology. And this anthology, it profiles Black women that were popular during that time, popular during the Black women's era. It gives a brief synopsis of, you know, their lives and what they, you know, have accomplished and everything. This edition has like over 20 Black women that she is highlighting that has made a contribution to society. And girl, so many. But one thing about this anthology that stood out to me, it said between 1890 and 1912, indeed, Black women published more works of fiction in these 2 decades than Black men have published in the previous half century. Nevertheless, this great achievement has been ignored. Just assume that Black males their works were being, you know, more published, but no. There's some women in this anthology that I did want to highlight because I did not know anything about them. And one of the women is Miss Mary J. Patterson. Now, Miss Patterson, she was a teacher and she taught at city schools in Washington, D.C. But they said she was the first woman to be appointed to principalship of Washington High School. And she held that position until she died in 1894. So that was a really big deal to have a Black woman be a principal of the whole high school. That was a really, really big deal. And if I can put up some pictures, I will. Some of these women, they don't have any pictures, and some of them they do. Another woman that really stood out to me was Josephine St. Pierce Ruffin. Now, she was the founder of the Color Women's Club. And the Color Women's Club, they were a club highlighted voting rights. They highlighted women issues. Also, they highlighted the, you know, women's suffrage movement. when you do think about like women's rights and women's suffrage, you go to Susan B. Anthony. And of course, she made huge contributions, but a lot of her contributions did come from Black women, but they weren't highlighted and praised. And of course, she's the one that just got, all of the recognition. But Susan did do it on her own. We helped her, okay? Josephine was one of the women that did help her and put her name out there. So we got to give kudos to Miss Josephine, okay? Next woman I was really surprised about because we know of her son. And this woman is Matilda J. Dunbar. Now we know Paul Laurence Dunbar, who was the famous poet of the 18th-19th centuries and was basically a celebrity during those times. During the time of this publication, she actually was alive, okay? She was born in 1848. So she was still here when this came out in 1926. She just talks about her life and how she had to sacrifice for her children, the fact that she is a mother of a well-renowned poet. And I love this passage. This is his den, she says. She points at his works and chooses the bits and bobs from the author's notes, photographs. Here's his desk with his pens, his inkwells, his hats, and his boots. That's so cute. She's like literally, so when they're conducting the interview, she's showing them his den and everything like that. That's so cute. I love it. And then another woman that I wanted to highlight that I found fascinating was Susan Elizabeth Fraser. Now, she was also a teacher, and Susan wanted to teach at the school systems in New York, and they wouldn't let her, and she had all the credentials and everything like that. And instead of her just like going to another state or trying to go to another school, she fought it in court. And in the beginning they dismissed the case and they're like, yeah girl, we're not helping you. And she kept on protesting and was like, no, I am qualified, I can do this. And so because of that, she was the first colored teacher in a mixed school in New York. And she had that position until she died in 1924. They said Susan was not giving up. She was at that courthouse every single day. She was at that school every single day. She was like, I'm going to get this position. And she did. So another unsung hero, Susan, okay? So yeah, guys, I would highly recommend you guys get this if you do want to learn about more Black women that has contributed to society when it does come to, like I said, voting rights, the women's suffrage movement during the 1900s, because there's so many. And again, there's not just Susan B. Anthony, okay? And like I said, we gonna give her props, okay? She did, what she had to do. But we were in the back fighting. And if it wasn't for us, there really wouldn't be a Susan B. Anthony, okay? We the ones that helped her fight the good fight. And she was 75 when this book came out. So yeah, guys, that is it when it comes to this video. Again, just wanted to highlight some Black women that we don't really know, that is not really well known, but we are putting them on the map, okay? We have to put them on the map. And we are learning about these Black women that has contributed to society. And yeah, guys, that's all I have for you. I'll be back with more Black books. Bye.
At the time, Black women were very active in not only the suffragist movement, but it was the voting movement period, trying to make sure that Black men and women, Black people, were given the responsibility, the honor, the privilege of voting.